Hi, guys, and welcome to the Truth Factor, where we do headlines with an attitude, and we've got quite a few things to cover today. Trying to see. It is, hold on. An attitude, and we've got quite a few things. All right. So, making sure everything's good. It looks good to me. We will get right into these articles, guys. Everything is in the Wixit in the description in the box below. I have some articles that I was going to do yesterday, but I just had too much going on. We didn't get a chance to do that second video. So anyway, but so there is, if anybody goes to the Wixit, you'll see there's some articles for yesterday. But I just want to remind everybody that if there's something that is important but not pressing, there's something that's really out there. I do post articles in the community tab, and I'm going to just show everybody because we have an article that's kind of a follow-up of something that happened yesterday. There was an incident in China and the Philippines, over by the Philippines. China and the Philippines accuse each other uh, of causing a collision, basically. And here's this article that was put in there. So there's some kind of contested situation going on there. And there's a response today from Biden. So it ain't good, guys. Anyway, so let's get right into these articles. Today is the 23rd. And we have quite a few articles to go. Now, this here is from Hal Turner. Kind of an update on, I guess, refueling tankers that are going on. So it says right now there are 4 air refueling tanker aircraft up over the Mediterranean Sea. That's a lot of aviation fuel, presumably for a lot of planes. Here's that Gibraltar. Remember, we were praying for these straits. For those that follow along in our Bible channel and our prayers, we've been praying for this Gibraltar and other waterways. And there's this one there, it says. But then he goes on and gives us information here. Hi, Pastor Sam. Yeah, it's fixing to go off, isn't it? 2 tankers north of Egypt turned off their responders. The 3rd tanker northeast of Crete is still squawking. There are also now 8 C-17 aircraft making a major airlift into the Middle East. Whatever is going on, it appears it's going to be a sudden and very big. One former colleague I spoke with this morning told me by this time tomorrow, the world will be a very different place. He did not specify what he meant. So, guys, for whatever it's worth, there was that comment. Then we also have reports, also from Hal Turner. Hamas shoots down Israeli helicopter and 50 dead. Reports are flooding in this morning claiming Hamas shot down an Israeli military helicopter over the Gaza Strip, killing 50 soldiers on board. Imagery above showing a downed Israeli Army CH-53 Stallion, yes sir, helicopter, which was reportedly destroyed by Hamas. With a guided rocket on the fire in a field seems to corroborate these claims. More details if we get some. And so there you can see that. Doesn't look good, does it? We also have faith over fear. That is indeed, isn't it, Faith? Okay, so then we also have Russia smacks Israel, gives Iran access to landing at the Khamenei, I guess, air base in Latakia, Syria. After Israeli attacked Damascus and Aleppo airports in Syria for the 3rd time in a week last night, both airports are out of service. So Russia has decided to allow its Khamenei air base in Latakia to be used in place of Damascus and Aleppo airports, even for Iranian military cargo flights. It was allegations by Israel that Iran was moving weapons into Syria, which would allegedly at some later point be used to attack Israel. That somehow justified Israel attacking the Damascus and Aleppo airports. Now, What is Israel going to do? Will they dare try to attack a Russian airbase? The airbase has extensive air defenses. In fact, one NATO general said 2015 the base has so much defense we're seeing an A2AD, which is anti-access area denial, airspace forming in the eastern Mediterranean. Does anyone care to mull the biblical aspect of what happens if Israel attacks the Russian airbase in Syria? As is well known, Israel has been launching what many call a forced displacement of Arabs living in the Gaza Strip. Almost nonstop bombing by Israeli fighter jets has already killed 4,000 Palestinians and destroyed over 10,500 housing units as the Israeli Air Force drops bombs on apartment buildings to demolish them at the foundation. The Gaza Strip is also subject to siege by Israel, which is almost the past 2 weeks has forbid the entry of trucks carrying even food and water. It was just yesterday that Israel allowed 20 tractor trailers in, but none with fuel, which is desperately needed for hospital electric generators since the Gaza Power Company ran out of fuel and can no longer generate electric. 20 tractor trailers brought in what they could, but to feed population of 2.3 million, at least 100 tractor trailers a day are necessary. So starvation is also on the table for the folks in Gaza. Russia has called for 3 meetings in the UN Security Council over the Gaza situation. At one of these meetings, a draft resolution was put forth by Brazil for an immediate ceasefire, but the United States vetoed that resolution. What human garbage is the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations that she would veto a resolution for a ceasefire in a situation where civilians are being hit by fighter jets? So now that Russians cannot seem to get even human behavior at the UN Security Council, they have just upped the ante to Armageddon for the U.S. and Israel. Russia is now opening the Khmeimim air base to be used as a place for Damascus and Aleppo airports, which was also means Iran military cargo planes. If Israel hits the base, Russia will hit Israel in self-defense. Was it to get Russia all along? Oh, wait, maybe that's been the game plan all along. The U.S. has been trying to go to a direct war with Russia over in Ukraine, but failed to achieve that. The U.S. supplied Abrams tanks, Mk-140 long-range HIMARS, millions of rounds of ammunition, hundreds of thousands of artillery shells. Even the U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham said on television, it's the best money he spent to kill Russians. Russia didn't take any of that bait. So now the U.S. seems ready to use Israel to hit the Russian airbase, which would logically move us all directly into World War III. Maybe this is a real reason to the U.S. to put 2 aircraft carrier strike groups in the eastern Mediterranean Sea off Syria, because maybe Russia has been their goal all along, and the Russian base at Latakia, Syria is right in the Mediterranean Sea, exposed to all the U.S. firepower. Now we also know why Russia President Vladimir Putin politely reminded everyone last week that his MiG-31 jets patrolling the neutral airspace of the Black Sea are armed with Kinzhal hypersonic missiles. Those missiles, he said, have a known range of 1,000 kilometers and travel at a Mach 9. What he didn't say, but everyone figured out, was those Russian fighter jets all the way up the Black Sea can fire those Kinzhal missiles and hit the U.S. aircraft carriers all the way down in the Mediterranean Sea. While the Kinzhal can be armed with conventional high explosive, it can also be armed with tactical nuke of between 5 and 50 kilotons. Those missiles can sink both aircraft carriers and their strike groups. The missile is fired from the Black Sea, would take only 6 minutes to arrive to the Mediterranean Sea. Maybe this is why the crew of the USS Gerald were fed steak and lobster last night. I wonder aloud if the crew were actually being given a sort of a last meal because the bosses knew they were all going to get killed. Now we might be seeing why those sailors and Marines get steaks and lobsters last night. The bosses seem to have known they intended to use Israel to hit Latakia Air Base, which would beget Russian military response, which would wipe out both aircraft carriers and their strike group. The whole thing seems already planned. The Pentagon seems to have sent both aircraft carriers and their strike groups, knowing they intend to get them all killed to start World War III. Have it go nuclear, and thereby gets 33 trillion of the U.S. owes around the world through after war debt forgiveness. Game, set, match. I think it's all being done on purpose. Then it says more, why send a THAAD? In fact, the more reflection I think this is exactly why the U.S. military defense Lloyd Austin announced he is sending THAAD, the Thermal High Altitude Air Defense missiles, to the Middle East. The only thing that is good for is intercepting intercontinental ballistic missiles in the terminal phase high up the atmosphere. That is useless for close-in missiles within 50 miles. So why send them to Israel-Hamas conflict? I think they're sending THAAD because they know Israel is going to hit the Russian airbase in Syria, maybe with the nuke, and that Russia will respond by nuking Israel. So they want THAAD up and running and try to defend against that. And if they cannot defend it and Russia nukes hit Israel, thankfully there's some really fertile and land available in Eastern Europe, where almost all the men already dead from war, which Israel could relocate to. Ukraine. Gee, how convenient. Update at 1:31. I was right. Here it is in Iran Revolutionary Guard, a cargo aircraft landing at the Russian airbase. Here we go. Worst of all, with all the firepower in the place, all the pieces lined up, the scenario I've outlined above can take place literally at any moment, maybe even this week. In a matter of a few short hours, the missiles could be on their way. I earnestly hope you have your emergency food, water, medicine, generator, fuels, and communications gear like a CB or ham radio. Looks like you're going to need it all real soon. And then we have... guys, this is tiring, isn't it? Hello, Carol. How are you? And hello, Carol from California. How are you? Hi, Walter. It's the same channel, Pastor Sam. I do the prayer on the same channel. It's right here. It's and we do it every night. I've been doing it every night, except for we didn't do one last night. We did one Saturday night, but it's the same channel for prayer. Hello, Invader. How are you? I don't blame her, Invader. I don't blame her. God bless you. Hello, hello. Anyway, God is good. Yep. We got two Carols, right? Hi, Carol and Carol. Love it. Okay. So then we have from War News 247, Biden informed the leaders of 5 NATO countries about imminent Armageddon in the Middle East. Hezbollah's goal is to occupy the Galilee. The latest report of the country's service regarding Hezbollah arsenal brought bad news to Israel. In the event of a conflict between the IDF and the Lebanese organization, the U.S. involvement and, by extension, the major regional war must be considered more than a given. And that's because the IDF may suddenly find itself fighting on 5 fronts once it's committed much of its forces to Gaza. This is why last night, even though it was Sunday, the U.S. President Biden hurriedly called and spoke with Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Sunak. Hey, go get that stupid dog, please. Sunak, the Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau, the French President Macron, the German Chancellor Scholz, and the Prime Minister of Italy. Take it downstairs. Maloney on the situation in the Middle East. Gathering all these leaders of NATO member countries in a group chat is just not good. They are briefed at the latest unpleasant developments in the impending generalization of the conflict. The U.S. is increasingly mirrored in the Middle East crisis. On the other hand, the Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov is going to Iran, while China's special envoy in the Middle East emphasized that the situation in Gaza is very serious. The risk of a large-scale land conflict is increasing, and armed conflicts along the Israeli-Lebanese and Israeli-Syria borders are also spreading with alarming prospects. According to the recent Israeli estimate, Hezbollah has tens of thousands of long-range missiles that reach central Israel, and beyond that, an extensive array of attack drones, advanced anti-aircraft and anti-ship missiles, and commando force whose targets include occupation of Galilee. Now, guys, I'm not going to read any more. We already know they have a lot of firepower there, and we have kind of covered some of this already. And these past few weeks, there's been so much intel. I don't want to continue to keep sounding like a broken record, but this article is in the Wixit and the link in the description in the box below. But we're going to move on to the next article. We also have, also from More News 247, shocking video for Israel, Hamas armed with the AT-4 Javelin, the NLAW via Ukraine. Washington Post, deadly surprise awaits the IDF in Gaza. And guys, you know, I'm sure it's crossed everybody's mind that they have more than just food on those things, but I'm sure they were checked, I'm sure. Hello, Winning Streak. How are you? Absolutely. Anyway, Hamas released a video confirming the information that has been circulating for some time, and they said that the large stocks of American and general NATO weapons that had been delivered to Ukraine are in Gaza. In the video, Hamas shows that this is a largely quantity of AT-4 and NLAW anti-tank missiles and rockets for the use against the Israeli army Mareka main battle tanks in Gaza. They talked about the M4, various types of anti-tanks, such as the Javelin, up to the Manpad, Stinger, and others. Turkish online media outlet Dirk Gat, the Gazette, published information claiming 7 days ago that Hamas, in its conflict with Israel, is using American weapons previously delivered by the United States to Ukraine. Isn't that just lovely, guys? Which we've covered this as well, but you know, just hearing it again just kind of just, you know, ruffles your feathers a little bit more, right? The publication notes that the son of the former U.S. President Donald Trump was the first to notice, who saw in a recent report by British TV channel Sky News how one of the Palestinian fighters was showing off an American-made M4 automatic carabine. Green called on Washington and Jerusalem to track the serial numbers of the M4 rifles. In addition, some Arabic channels on Telegram regularly published videos in which Palestine fighters openly expressed their gratitude to Kyiv for the sale of the weapons. Isn't that just so ironic to have the weapons that we've been giving to Ukraine to end up over there to fight against Israel, and we're supposed to be helping Israel? How is it that we find ourselves on both sides of the war almost every single solitary time? It's just, I don't know, dumbfounding to me how this continues to you know, stack up every single solitary war, right? In addition, Israeli army soldiers during an operation against Hamas militants found Strela 2 and RPG-7 man-portable anti-aircraft systems in one of the vehicles, bearing the insignia of a unit of the Ukrainian armed forces from Machekovo in the Transcarpath region. So, the Palestinian movement, Hamas, may have had much more advanced weapons than it was used today. Hamas is preparing a deadly surprise for the Israeli Defense Forces in the event of the launch of the ground phase Operational Iron Sword. Hamas probably has hidden military capabilities, which we may have to look at in the future. Anyway, so there's the mention of that iron storm, and there is another article about that. So then we have this here article, and it is the iron sting. So Israeli forces released the footage of the Iron Sting system launching a mortar bomb to take out a rocket launcher in its first ever use in operation on Sunday. The Iron Sting, described as an innovative and accurate mortar bomb, is one of a variety of weapons being used to thwart dozens of terrorists, the Israeli Air Force posted on X. Along with the video it showed with the 120 millimeter mortar disseminating any enemy rocket launcher, the Israeli army used the weapons system in conjunction with the Israel Air Force. The weapons system used a precise laser and GPS guided mortar munition to engage targets in dense urban environments while reducing the possibility of collateral damage and preventing injury to non-combatants. Albeit Systems, which developed the system, said in a 2020 news release. Anyway, there's just a little bit more there, guys, but there's the rest of the talk about the Iron Sting, as what they're calling it. And then we have here from End Time Headlines also. This here to me, this is, remember I was showing you earlier about the crazy article that we posted in the community tabs at the beginning of the show. Here is the follow-up to that, guys. So the U.S. warns China it will defend the Philippines after the incident with the vessel in the South China Sea. The United States renewed a warning Monday that it would defend the Philippines in a case of an armed attack under a 1951 treaty with Chinese ships blocked and collided with two Filipino vessels off a contested shoal in the South China Sea. The Philippine diplomat summoned a Chinese embassy official in Manila on Monday for a strongly worded protest following Sunday's collision off the Second Thomas Shoal. No injuries were reported, but the encounters damaged a Philippine Coast Guard ship and a wooden-hulled supply boat operated by Navy personnel. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. called on an emergency meeting with the defense secretary and the other top military and security officials to discuss the latest hostilities in the disputed waters. The Philippines and other neighbors of China have resisted Beijing's sweeping territorial claims over virtually the entire South China Sea, and some, like Manila, have brought U.S. military support as incidences multiply. Yeah. So, as if we needed another place to have a confrontation. I think that's kind of crazy, you know. I just think it's crazy, guys. Another place that there could be some kind of, you know, beef at, as if we could, you know, handle all of these different little skirmishes, you know, get something going in the Philippines, get something going in Taiwan area. I mean, we'll just have it going on everywhere, won't we? That's what it sounds like. It is heating up fast. And then we can't forget North Korea the other day. I mean, there just seems to be, you know, it's like you go to bed, you wake up, who's been picked on today, right? I don't know. So here again, we have Biden administrating warned the U.S. won't hesitate to enter Israel-Hamas war if a red line is crossed. The United States is poised to get involved in Israel-Hamas war should the conflict escalate into regional forces intentionally targeting American personnel, senior officials said. Now, guys, I kind of think that there's already been a red line crossed. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I think that the red line has already been crossed. Several days ago, we had all those U.S. military facilities being targeted and attacked. So correct me if I'm wrong, but, you know, I think that red line has been passed a few times over. So the Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said Sunday that the U.S. expects Iranian proxies to seek opportunities to escalate the Israeli-Hamas war, and asserted that the Biden administration is prepared to respond accordingly if American civilians or armed forces become targets. Well, I think that that's already happened. You know, I mean, Correct me if I'm wrong, but just a few days ago, I think it was, I had to have several different videos because we had so many different targets happening. We'd have one base was being targeted, and then another base was being targeted. They were, evacuating people everywhere, right? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, come on. How stupid do these people think we really are? I mean, I don't know about you, but I think the red line has been crossed, guys. I don't know. Anyway, we won't read any more of that. But you guys, I mean, come on. It's kind of like, you know, they do it in advance and then we're going to come out and say, "Oh, if they cross the red line." I mean, give me a break. Stop. Oh.
Brady start picking up all trash off the floor.
They're now diverting one of the aircraft carriers to Iran. Interesting, Watchman. Anyway, it's just absolutely just it's ridiculous, some of this stuff though that they try to push off, guys. I mean, just saying. We've already kind of crossed that red line. It's just enough. Anyway, so then we have lots of protests, both on both sides. There's people protesting for the Palestinian. There's people protesting with for Israel. It is and it's not just here in the United States, guys. This is a global I don't want to say phenomenon, but it is. It is like everywhere there are all of these protests. And again, there's so much talk about stuff could be happening at our border. We're setting ourselves up. And it's absolutely crazy. Anyway, it's absolutely crazy, guys. So then we're just going on. The last article here, guys. I'm going to pull up that Newsweek article. I don't have it in the lineup, but I think we should cover it just because, just thinking about it. We were talking about the other article. So, let's see, where did it go, George? I don't know what they did with my article. I should have kept it. Oh, well. It's all right. We'll look for it later, or I'll find it and I'll post it in the community tab, guys. Anyway, this here is the big next propaganda agenda, whatever you want to call it, that they have going. We have U.S. to travel to Europe will require prior approval and a biometric scanning. Now, in my opinion, you have to get a passport and a visa if you're going to be the visas, I think, are for like missionaries and stuff, but you got to get these passports, and then you got to get permission to enter the country, sometimes a visa to that specific place. So I thought that was kind of already, being done, but I mean, maybe there's going to be, another prior approval type thing that you're going to have to do. Anyway, it says traveling to most European countries is about to get more complicated and invasive for American citizens. In spring 2025, you'll have to first request permission, and you'll be saying adieu to passport stamps and CO2 facial and fingerprint scans, and having your biometric data stored in an enormous government database. On Friday, an agency of the European Union announced the updated timing for the European travel information and authorization systems, which has first set to roll out in 2024. It applies to travelers from more than 60 countries that are currently exempt from visa requirements. Those countries have an aggregate population of 1.4 billion. As in a case today, Americans don't need a visa, but they will need to apply in advance for permission to visit any 30 EU countries to stay lasting up to 90 days. It will cost about $8 to apply, with requests submitted via the official ETIAS website. Is that crazy or what, guys? So now you've got an extra process to go if you're going really basically to the EU. And then all of this facial recognition and just, it's crazy, guys. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, that is really what I have for you this afternoon. I'm going to show you what we had yesterday just really quick. I think it was yesterday. Where's what? They didn't get it.
Why did you?
I think I did this one. Maybe I didn't publish it. I'll have to. We did do this one, guys. I have one that I didn't publish. I'll have to go and publish it. Anyway. So we can't look at it. Anyway, God is good. I love y'all. And we will try and just stay above and do what we can with the post as they come in, guys. It ain't his first rodeo. I hear you. You are so welcome. So welcome. So welcome, Winning Streak. God bless you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me this afternoon and just hanging out. If there's anything else that breaks, but I will definitely try and bring it to you. I don't know. The internet's been kind of crazy. Sometimes we have it, sometimes we don't. But if it's an urgent thing, as long as I have cell phone coverage, I will. If I don't have the article in front of me, I just might read you the highlights. Anyway, God bless you, and you all have a blessed day, guys. Bye.